I hope you enjoy this service and it touches you in some way. So today's speaker, we're looking forward to hearing from Lonnie Nichols, the man of the hour. He's going to talk to us about always choose the high road. And to go along with that, I have chosen an inspirational reading. It's entitled Guidance. It's from Daily Word. The divine in me knows the way to go. If I ever feel uneasy wondering which way to turn, or if I'm afraid I'll make a wrong choice, I simply stay centered in the awareness of the Christ presence within and follow its guidance. When I wonder what my next step might be, I pause. Breathing deeply, I relax. If stress or worry arise, I acknowledge those feelings with compassion and understanding. I call forth the divine guidance that I know is always within me. Soon, I feel fresh ideas start to take shape. Visualizing possible next steps, I begin to see how they can lead me exactly where I need to go. From this space, I discover new confidence and faith as I move forward. I am grateful for the Spirit within that guides me along my path. And Psalm 37:31 says, "The law of their God is in their hearts. Their steps do not slip." And so it is. And now we will be entertained by the beautiful voice of Carolyn Mitchell singing "If I Were Brave." Carol.
Thank you. It's a wonderful song by Janice Stansfield, "If I Were Brave," and think about the lyrics when you listen to them. It's got a very good message. Go ahead, Steve. What would I do if I knew that I could not fail? Would I believe if the wind always filled up my sail? How far would I go? What could I achieve? Trusting the hero in me. If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where fools and dreamers dare to tread, and never lose faith, even when losing my way. What steps would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What if we're all meant to do what we secretly dream? What would you ask if you knew you could have anything? Like the mighty oak sleeps in the heart of a seed, are there miracles in you and me? If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where fools and dreamers dare to tread, and never lose faith, even when losing my way. What steps would I take today if I were brave? Sing along with me in your head, not out loud. What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? If I refuse to listen to the voice of fear, would the voice of courage whisper in my ear. If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge where fools and dreamers dare to tread and never lose faith, even when losing my way. What steps would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would you do today? What will you do today? Because I know you're brave. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Carol. As always, beautiful voice, beautiful energy. And it's a very good song, very good words. What would we do if we were brave? So I think on the screen we have a picture, don't we? Is it a picture of a highway going up? Okay. Always take the high road. Okay. I put that up there just as a nice visual. Not all of our roads are that steep. Sometimes they feel that way, right? You know, in the past year, I brought up a couple themes. One was stay in your lane. How many remember that one? Learn to allow others and systems just to be what they are. One of my themes was let's go vertical, meaning going in, connecting with your divine self. So today we're going to have another one, taking the high road. It's really very simple in many ways when we can be honest with ourselves and we live in our integrity. We naturally take the high road, so to speak. It's not a necessarily decision that we have to make, is it? If we're living with our higher purpose and we're living in the divine flow, there is no high or low road. We just tend to do the right thing. We tend to be aware in the moment. Soul awareness is living in harmony and living in our higher purpose. And we don't have to make those choices all of the time. It's a natural flow, living in harmony with the universe. You know, we have choices to make daily, weekly, monthly, and we have those responsibilities. Responsibility. We can't always control, rarely can we control what another person thinks about us, what they feel about us, or even many times their actions. But we can control our response, right? It's how we respond to outside influences. We can't control them. We shouldn't even judge them. I mean, there's a time and place to move on and stay in your lane, and there's a time and place to address that. But how we respond is our responsibility. And if there's negativity around us, we have choices to make, how to stay in our lane, how to move on, how to respect that. Often, it lowers our vibration, doesn't it? If we're living in joy and we're being courageous and we're living our life and there's others around us that may be gossiping about us, or there's somebody who is angry at us or has revenge toward us, they're not in harmony with the universe. So that is not our responsibility to respond in like. You know, I was a Motorola manager for many years, and I eventually became a project manager for 5 accounts overseas in Southeast Asia. I count my blessings about that. I could have never traveled the world without this work. And I experienced so many cultures, including Saudi Arabia, a little bit in England, but mostly Taiwan, Thailand, China, Japan, a little bit in South Korea. Very challenging customer, South Koreans. In Motorola, and more locally, domestically, with my accounts, local, state, county, there were a lot of people on the customer side that necessarily didn't like the company. We were intimidating to them. And we were delivering $60 million projects and radios for police and fire and EMTs. And they didn't necessarily like Motorola. And I was the focal point of that, oftentimes. You know, my managers would sit at their desk, and the visual is they got their feet up on their desk smoking a cigar, counting the money. That's not really true. They were great managers and a great company. But I would take the heat in meetings for people who didn't like Motorola, or they would fault find my schedules or my contract or my drawings or my engineers. I don't like that engineer. You're behind schedule. You didn't sign the contract. And each and every time I learned I had an answer for them. And that answer was either the truth back to them, or we got a contract to do, we got a project. I could refocus the energy on the project, not the personality. So I learned how to take the high road and redirect that energy. I learned how to take the high road, and it wasn't an easy lesson for me. There is no end to growth, so I'm still learning this. And it came to be that I got kind of good at it after 30 years. And every time they had a tough project, hey, Lonnie, we got this project down in southern New Mexico. He's a really tough customer. You need to go down there and take care of that. They just fired our other manager. Okay. How do we translate taking that high road in our personal relationships and working in the world? Because that was kind of easy in a sense that I was getting paid. I don't get paid to take the high road when I'm dealing with a tough relationship or a tough family member or a situation in business. We don't get paid for that. You know, I wish we had a $5 every time we said, hey, I took the high road on that one. Where's my check? With a company, I could do that. So one way to start is with the basics. I've always been a big believer. If we could get PowerPoint number 2, Steve, slide number 2, I'd appreciate it. One way to start, I've always felt that on a true spiritual journey, let's start with common sense and common courtesy. How about if we start with please and thank you? And then we build on that. I mean, as a default measure, let's start with some basic fundamental human relationships. And I mentioned the 4 agreements here a number of times. And I don't know if you remember those. I'll see if I can. Don't take things personal. Don't assume. Always do your best, whatever you do. And be impeccable with your word. If you're going to meet somebody, or you make an agreement with somebody, or you make a commitment with somebody, you keep that to the best of your ability. And by the way, I want to make a comment about music, if I can, for Carol and Steve and Daniel and Alex and the musicians. I have to say, I played music on and off my entire life. These folks are impeccable. When they say that sound check's at 9:30, they're here at 9:20. I can't beat them here. They're impeccable with their word. We have a sound check. We have a practice at 11 o'clock. I get here at 5 to 11. They're here setting up. So thank you for that. Impeccable with your word. Yeah, very good. And the temple in general, I single out the musicians because I'm part of that, closer to that, but the temple in general, we're impeccable with our word. If we're going to have a meeting, we have a meeting. If we say we're going to do this, we do this. And so I commend the temple for that. So those are the 4 agreements. And as always, I have my own I'd like to share with you. Okay. Agreement number 5, I offer this up to you and invite you to think on this. Agreement number 5, always be honest with yourself. To take the high road, be honest with yourself, be a little bit vulnerable. And I trust that when you do that, taking the high road makes it much easier. What you put out, number 6, what you put out in life, the energy that you put out is what you get back. It's very simple. As you sow, shall you reap. These are reminders. I'm your reminder guy for today. These are reminders that what we put out in life is what we get back. Number 7. This is a big one that I've learned myself over the past, 5 or 10 years, more recently. There is no end, number 7, there is no end to our spiritual journey. There is no plateau that we get to and we say, I'm enlightened, I'm there. I'm self-realized, blah, 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 blah. There's plateaus we reach, of course. There's plateaus, and from my understanding, what I've read, what I intuit, what I see with others, classes I've taken, even beyond this life, beyond this 3 dimensions that we live in, there is still a spiritual journey awaiting us. There is never an end to growth and expansion and light and love and healing and empowerment and wisdom and truth and reality. There's never an end to it. So in those terms, think out of the box. Think infinitely. It makes it easier to take that high road. There are many examples that, by the way, if you get up in the morning and you're not sure how to start your day, go to the eastern side of your house or in your yard and look in the sun. You don't have to look directly at the sun, I'm not saying that, but look toward the sunrise. You can look off to the side of the sun and imagine if the physical sun is this bright, how much brighter is the spiritual sun? How much brighter are the other dimensions? This sun's still in three dimensions. How much bigger is the spiritual dimension that we're achieving? And I feel like that is our home we're going back to someday. We're living in the here and now. We're transiting through 3 dimensions. We're transiting through a challenging world at times. I get that. But I also feel like knowing we're going back to oneness, knowing we're going back to the bright light, that we're going back to infinite love, light, and power. That is our home. That is our journey. And the end of our journey. Amen to that. Amen to that. Thank you. Thank you. You know, we can look to other people who've done really great things and have taken the high ground. You know, they did a poll about John F. Kennedy. So take everything he did good and some of the things he didn't do well, put that aside for a minute. The poll for college students wasn't that. The poll that they liked him the best for was he communicated. He kept communicating with his enemies. He kept communicating with those who worked with him and those that didn't want to work with him. He kept the communication lines going. He didn't take it personal. He kept it going. If you remember the Bay of Pigs incident, he took responsibility for that, and yet when the nuclear weapons were coming over to Cuba, he kept the dialogue going with Nikita Khrushchev, even though it wasn't going well. He kept the communication line open. That, to me, is part of taking the higher ground. Make that attempt to keep that communication going. We know about Abe Lincoln. Abe Lincoln, you know, he walked 20 miles, I think, because somebody overpaid him, what was it, 9 cents or something like that. Most of us know about Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi, who left this planet in 1948, he single-handedly started a movement in India, nonviolent, peaceful movement that captured the entire country, that ended in the British absolving all of their power and authoritarianism in India. They left. He did that through nonviolence. Now, how much higher ground can we get and higher road can we take? So I'm not sure which, I'm sorry, Steve, I'm not sure which PowerPoint we're on. Number 3, I believe. Number three is a nice little PowerPoint. Sometimes taking the higher road isn't a direct path, is it? For those of you on social media, it's a curvy road doing switchbacks, probably in the Colorado mountains. But the road always gets up to that elevation and that height. I want to speak to you today, too, about an example of somebody, and this goes right to Carol's point of what would I do if I were brave. Desmond Doss came from a small town in Virginia. He was a carpenter and a shipyard worker. And he was a conscientious objector, a very religious man. And in 1942, he entered the military. And the sergeants and corporals could not understand why he wouldn't want to carry a gun. He goes, I can't kill anybody, and I refuse to carry a gun. But I want to enter the military, defend this country. I want to be a medical. I want to be a med. And he did that. Soon after that, he was assigned a position in Okinawa. And he went up this 100-foot drop-off cliff. He was in this infantry on a plateau in Okinawa in one of the toughest battles in Okinawa, and it turned out to be one of the final battles. And the United States won that battle, but they barely won that battle. And he was hurt in the leg. He had a grenade go off and fracture his leg. And as he was crawling to a safe place, he was shot in the arm. And he found enough scrap wood and scraps to splint his arm. And then he continued helping the wounded men. This man saved 75 lives. He found a rope somewhere, or maybe he stole it from the Japanese, I'm not sure, and lowered 75 men 100 feet straight down a cliff. 75 men. And he was saving men after he was wounded. Desmond Doss, the movie Hacksaw Ridge is a biography of this man. I recommend you watching it. Talk about bravery to the song that Carol did this morning. Very touching. This man took the higher road in more ways than one, didn't he? He went up, he did that, he risked his own life over and over again. And I want to quote to you what Harry Truman said to him when he went to get his citation at the White House. Harry S. Truman, I'm proud of you. You really deserve this. I consider this a greater honor than being President of the United States. Yes, Harry S. Truman. So our soul awareness is about taking the high road. Sometimes it's the road less traveled. Steve, if you could go ahead and do number 4, please. We have choices. When we take the lower road, we're being human, and it's not a negative, it's not a judgment on ourselves, it's a choice that we make. But I got to tell you, if you want to keep your vibrations up, we want to take the high road whenever possible. It doesn't mean we don't address the truth. It doesn't mean that we don't address the issues that we have or conflicts that we have. My gosh, conflicts are what make us grow oftentimes, aren't they? I mean, I feel like I've grown so much through some of my bigger conflicts that I've had to work through, Motorola being one of them. Because I'll tell you, it's tough sitting in a meeting that you're leading and it's a $60 million project and you got people taking shots at you personally. And that conflict helps create growth. That type of conflict helps create growth. So don't run from your conflicts. Everything there is there in your life for a reason, especially the major events in your life, even your health issues. They're there for a reason, the major ones. And I just spoke with a lot of people this week, and I was on a call this week, and everyone agreed on this call that their health issues is what brought them closer to their soul, because we shed off things when we go through those. In closing, I would like to quote Mother Teresa, if I might. I forgot agreement number 8. Everybody knows this without saying. Always choose chocolate over vanilla. Okay. Forgot that one. Sorry about that. You know, without judgment, I can't believe that you want vanilla over chocolate, but I'm going to live in non-judgment mode. I'm not going to assume anything, and I'm not taking it personal. Go ahead and choose vanilla. Mother Teresa, if you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you're honest and frank, people will try to cheat you. Be honest anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you find security and happiness, they may be jealous of you. Be happy anyway. Amen. The good you do today will often be forgotten by tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have. It may never be enough. Give your best anyway. For you see, in the end, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. At the end of life, we will not be judged by how many diplomas we have received, how much money we've made, how many great things we've done. We will be judged by, I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was homeless, and you took me in. So we have choices. We have unlimited choices to be happy and joyful, follow our dreams, follow our goals, think infinitely, not because we're supposed to, but because it is living in the harmony of God's great universe. Thank you so much for listening and trying to show today. Great audience. Yay.
What a great service, Lonnie. Thank you so much. You always give us something we can take with us and apply to our life, and I appreciate that so much. Yes. If the ushers would come forward, please, now it's time for our gifts, our tithes, and offerings. We give thanks for all that we have, all that we are able to give, and all that we receive. And so it is. Thank you. I also want to remind anyone joining us remotely that you too can give to help support the temple. Just go and click on the donate button. We appreciate it, and we thank you for your generosity. So now we are going to hear from Alex, Daniel, and Carol singing Give a Little Love, Have a Little Love, Show
Put
a Little Love.
Put a little love
It's
in
all
your
about
heart.
love. Do it.
Think of your fellow man.
Give him a helping hand.
Put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late.
Please don't hesitate.
Put a little love in your heart. And the
And
world
the world,
will be a better place. And the world will be a better place for you
for you
and me.
and me.
You just wait
You just wait
and see. Another day goes by.
and still the children cry.
Put a little love in your heart. If you want the world to know,
We won't let hatred grow.
put a little love in your heart. And the world
And the world,
will be a better place. And the world will be a better place for you
for you
and me.
and me.
You just wait
You just wait
and see. Hey, take a good look around.
And if you're looking down,
Put a little love in your heart. Well, I hope when you decide,
kindness will be your guide.
put a little love in your heart. And the
And
world
the world,
will be a better place. And the world
and the world
will be a better place for you
for you
and me.
and me.
You just wait
You just wait
and see. Put a little love in your heart.
each and every day.
Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Yeah. Put a little love in your heart. Yeah. Put a little love in your heart. Thanks, y'all. Happy Sunday.
What he said.
We'll see you next time.